The Save2sew feature is an additional saving function for a design, and it can be pretty powerful. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. I have a design open here, has 14,110 stitches, and let's say I'm ready to go and stitch this out on my machine on a specific piece of fabric. I can come up here and choose this Save2sew icon, or I can go to File, Save2sew, and it's going to open up the dialog window. So how Save2sew works is it looks at the design that you have, the size of it, the number of stitches, and you tell it what type of fabric you're going to stitch that design on. And based on that, it's going to have the ability to change settings to the design to give it things like new density, underlay, pull compensation, and other things. So it will gear it toward that fabric that you're going to be stitching it onto. And then it's also going to help you to know how to properly stabilize it. So taking a look here where it says fabric and type of fabric, there, if you hit the drop down, there's a couple options for each fabric that is listed. For instance, this one, jeans, it says I didn't digitize. And you go down one more, it says jeans, I digitized. Basically what that means is if you created the design in this software from scratch, you just created it, you would choose I digitized. Or if somebody sent you the design that they digitized in the software, you would choose that. If it's a file that is like a PES or any other stitch file, like a machine stitch file, you would choose I didn't digitize. And the reason for that is the WAF version knows exactly what you did with the design. It has the original outlines, and that's very important that it has the original outlines because that's the cleanest outlines that can be used with the software. And if you bring in another design format, even if you tell the software to convert to outlines, it's not going to be quite the same. You're going to lose some capabilities. So that's the difference. If you created it in the software, choose I digitized. Or if you know the design was created in the software, choose I digitized. If it wasn't, choose the I didn't digitize option. So if this was going to be going on to a piece of moisture wicking fabric, I'm going to choose I digitize because I did create this in the software. So I'll click on moisture wicking fabric I digitized. Next, I have the ability to apply new settings. So if I choose new style settings, I have the opportunity now to select if I want to apply new density, new underlay, new pull compensation, and any of the other properties that are set for that type of material. So I'm going to keep these selected, but you can unselect them if you want. And if you want to use this feature, Save2sew, just for stabilizer recommendations, you can just bypass this and turn it off, and it won't change your design at all. So if you click that off and you go to the next step, it's not going to change your stitches. If you choose this, you're going to notice differences. And so this convert to outlines is for those designs that are in a format other than WAF. So that'd be like PES, EXP, VP3, anything that's not WAF, you would check that box right there in order to apply new settings. We're going to go ahead and click next. And when we go to next, it's going to give us the stabilizer recommendations. So this is really neat about Save2sew is one of the most important things with doing embroidery is picking the right stabilizers. And if you don't pick the right stabilizer, sometimes you don't get good results with your design. Designs can kind of fall apart if they don't have enough structure to them, or you can get too much puckering, anything by choosing the wrong stabilizer. So it's very important. This software is going to help you learn exactly what you need to use for the design that you're stitching onto. And the other great thing is you can see moisture wicking fabric I digitized. It's telling me what it was. Step 1, saying use a fusible, fuse the cutaway medium to the back of the fabric. 2, it says to hoop it. Step 3 is you can use like a heat and gun as a topper. And if there's any other special instructions, they'll be listed down here. Like if it's not digitized well, or it's overly dense, it'll tell you use, Floriani medium tearaway under the hoop for additional stabilizer. Also, you'll see that it has a watch video and a product information. That will take you to a video on this stabilizer. And this would get you information about that stabilizer. So one other thing to point out, if I go to back and get back into this section here, notice at the top that I have 14,110 stitches. I know it can be hard to see because it's kind of grayed out, but when I go to next, because I chose to apply new settings, notice that now I have 14,353. So it increased a little bit, but just because it increases in the number of stitches doesn't mean it's a bad thing, because some fabrics need more underlay or more density or whatever, and this will take all of that into account. So sometimes a design might decrease in the number of stitches and sometimes it might increase. Don't worry much about that, because it is just doing what it needs to do for underlays and densities and stuff like that. So when you get to this point, again, you can now print this page, which will give you all that instructions, or you click finish, and this will allow you to save the design. And I've already saved this design, so I'm just going to click cancel. And the one thing that I want to show you is that, first of all, there's the 14,353 stitches, so the design did change. Second, in the design notes, it grabbed the information from the stabilizer section to give me what I need to use for stabilizing the product. And if I go to print preview up here, those notes, if I have it selected in my settings, it will print out on the design worksheet. So that's another really nice feature about it. So when I go back here, if I hit undo, you'll see that the stitch count will change. But you don't really see much of a change to the design at all. Let me hit redo and get it back to what it changed it. And that's just because it applied different settings. So it's going to have different stitch lengths, different underlays, and it's now geared towards stitching on the moisture wicking fabric. So Save2sew can be a very powerful tool when you're working with designs that are not true WAF files, like they weren't created in the software. You might have some mixed results, but if you are working with a design that you create, you should get really good results with using the Save2sew feature. And if anything else, it's a great way to learn what stabilizer you need to use in order to get the best possible results. So that is the Save2sew feature. And like I said, once you go through it and you're ready to stitch it out, going to the print preview, it will give you the instructions for the stabilizers here, and that's in the settings, and that would be for printing the notes, the design notes right here. So as long as that's checked, it will be available in the instructions. So make sure to utilize Save2sew, and it's a wonderful tool, and it can really help gear your design towards the fabric that you're going to be stitching it onto.